We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. If everybody stand for pledge allegiance and prayer, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, as we come to you tonight, I want to thank you for this opportunity to allow us together, Lord. And Lord, I ask you that you would be with us and our country as we go through these times, Lord. And it just seems like everywhere you turn, there's difficulties and issues. And Lord, I ask you that you would just lay your hand on us and guide our country in the direction that you would have us to go. Lord, I would ask you that you would be with us tonight in this meeting, help us in the decision-making process, and please make the decisions that we make glorify you. I name and pray. Amen. Amen. All right, roll call. Alderman James.
Present.
Alderman Nash. Here. Alderman Hinderleiter.
Here.
Alderman Steelman.
Here.
I am present. City Administrator Walden.
Present.
City Clerk Capel.
Present.
City Attorney Weber.
Present.
Public Works Director Nash.
Present.
Chief of Police Chase.
Present.
Economic Development Director Burbridge.
Present.
Parks and Recs Director Du Bois.
Present.
All right. First item on the agenda is under hearing of persons. We have Mr. Parsons here to address a street closure. Mr. Parsons, could you come forward, please?
Good evening, folks. With everything that's been going on since January, everybody's been kind of shaken up by it and being precautious and everything. Last year, the first Saturday in June, we had our Summer Fest, blocked off the streets in front of my daughter's store downtown. With everything going on now, we've moved the date to the 27th, which is the last Saturday of June. And I'd like to get the board's permission to have the streets blocked off so we can have the fair.
Any questions for Mr. Parsons?
I haven't read this, but what is that day on? Is
That'd be Saturday.
Saturday?
And we know Robert Judson's are open till noon, so we won't use that part of the street until they're closed. That way it won't hinder their business.
Make a motion. Go ahead, Kenny.
I see no problem. I'll make a motion we allow Mr. Parsons to have it that day.
Well, I think Salem needs a little something.
Yeah. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Nash.
Yeah.
Alderman James.
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter.
Yes.
Alderman Steelman.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, folks. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Have a good
James.
evening. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Was that you, Kevin?
Yes. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'll speak up a little bit.
Yeah. Rachel had a frog in her throat or something. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Steelman.
Yes.
Alderman James.
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter.
Yes.
Alderman Nash.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is under reports of city officials, boards, and committees. Mr. Walden, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the Board of Aldermen. Some informational items we want to bring to this board's attention and to the public. The FEMA has, through some grant funds, made it possible for the floodplain maps to be updated in various parts of the state. Prior to this update, we were working off of a dated paper version of the map, and the information's been digitized, and we'll be having a public hearing related to that will be posted and for the public, and copies of that will be available for anybody that's interested in that. It will reflect some improvements in drainage that, you know, the city and county have made, so things, you know, pieces of land that might have been in the floodplain sometime back might not now be. And the new site is interactive, to where you can interactively go to a map and see, you know, like for a bridge, how high it would have to be raised for 100 or 500 year flood event. So for planning, that's very useful in providing municipalities and counties information in the state on road improvements. So that hearing will be announced soon. It's been posted Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting for the 15th at 6 p.m. And that's public as well regarding appeal that's been made to their attention, and that'll be in this room, be in council chambers prior to our meeting that week. Several months ago or weeks ago, we had a site consultant came that Sally had coordinated a grant, and not to completely steal her thunder, but she had forwarded you a copy of the site consultant report that we just got. And so what you have now is an electronic copy of that. And when we get bound copies and quantities, we will get everybody a copy of that. And then I mentioned sometime back about the MS&T project management class that was started with us this spring, then quickly switched to virtually being with us because of COVID-19. We have gotten just last week the project reports from that class, and we will make those available to the public for anybody that's interested in that. Then tomorrow is our municipal election that was postponed from earlier. We encourage everybody to get out and support their candidate of choice. We have contested races on both sides, and mayor's uncontested this time, but alderman races are, and would encourage folks to get out and vote for the candidate of their choice. And then I don't know, Mayor, if you were planning on doing an update on utility bills, or I can. Okay, we posted that we continue to do processing with utility bills. We have about 1,000 out, and expect to have the others out this week. We're trying to increase staff to respond to questions that people have that are getting them. And if people will either call or come in, we'll be glad to take time to go through their calculations and to provide information to help them make the selection that's best for them. And so we'll get the remaining ones out as soon as we can. Now, unless there's questions, that's and I think in light of that, Alderman Stillman would probably look at holding off on a capital improvement committee meeting till next week, so we can focus this week on getting the utility bills out. But we'll announce that date. And I'll coordinate that with you, make sure. I think most people are still available next Thursday, and so, but we'll pull the board, and I'll check with you before we post that.
Yeah, all hands on deck to get the bills out as soon as possible.
So to the question of the video, I saw posted, we were talking about that this weekend, Brad. Are we just going to do a statement now? Or are we going to try to do a video?
We had some technical difficulties, and so we have the statement ready, and I need to get with Sally to get that posted on our Facebook page. It is in written form because I couldn't get the video side of things working properly. So basically the statement that we were going to put out is in written form, and I need to post that on the city's page. We also have our frequently asked questions sheet that we came up with. It is completed, and I need to have Sally post that as well, and was going to try to get that done this evening, if possible after the meeting.
Okay. I say if you want to do the video still, I can help you knock it out. So.
Our biggest thing was, like I said, I was having difficulties getting it done, and so I wanted to push it out as quick as possible. That's why I decided just to go ahead and do it in written form. I'm hoping to get the issues nailed down to where in a couple of days we can go back in and do an update and actually do that on video. Does any alderman have any more questions for Mr. Walden?
Well, I got a call today, and the lady, I was under the impression she'd be up here tonight, so she asked me some questions, and I couldn't give her the answer to on her utility bill. So I told her if she'd come here tonight, her name is Ariana, I believe, that I would try to get her some answers from someone after the meeting, or if not before, or after, during. I've never seen her before, but I don't know if she's here tonight or not. But we'll try to get her some answers. I've got a lot of answers I'm still needing myself.
Okay, well, that's what we're there for, Alderman Nash.
I haven't got my bill yet either.
Yeah,
You're-
can we speak to why some don't have bills yet? I know it's been said a few times, but I think it helps not everyone understands.
It's
so
pulling data from multiple sources, and it just takes time. And I've had, we've pulled some other resources in. I've even had some of the elected officials, your counterparts are helping, and we're decreasing the time left to get the remaining bills out. And so then as people started getting their bills, well, some would walk in and want to make their payment or have questions or call. And so, we're balancing staff with still. And so I think we've thought through a plan where we can keep both efforts going, because people are wanting to pay their bill or have questions, and we want to respond to that. And so, but we also want to get the remaining bills out too. And so we're pulling resources to try to do both as best we can.
Ray, could you speak, or Brad, on the issue with the read file and how that's backed everything up? I just want to be as specific as possible when we are talking about this, because it does take time. Until I was in the office myself and was trying to help as much as I could, I needed to see the process for myself. And if you could just talk about that and why we are having to do it this way right now, and what that delay has been, that would be helpful, I think.
When we were looking at vendors for the AMI system, one of the things that was a criteria was companies that had worked with our billing software, in other cities. And it's not an uncommon system that we have. A lot of cities use, the same product that we do for utility billing. And the several of the vendors we looked at, had experience working with our billing software, and as did the company that we awarded the bid to for the AMI system. And although they had worked with other cities that had the same software we did, when we had started getting meters installed and got our network up and running and did the first attempt to pull in the read file, it was not compatible with our version of our billing software. And although something about how our billing software was implemented was different than the other installations that they had worked with. And so we've been working with both sides. We tried to reach out to our billing software company to see if some accommodation could be made to, make our system compatible with our read file coming in. Our AMI vendor has gone over and above, what they were obligated to do in their contract to try to make it compatible with our system. And so we think we've got a project outline in place so where the file will be made compatible, and then we'll be able to pull the read files in. So in the absence of being able to pull that read file in automatically, we have access to the data on the AMI side for the meters that have been installed. We can pull that into a format that we can work with. Well, that's a separate system from our billing system, where that's looking back, that's the historical data and the account information and all that. And so in an effort to transition through this one-time transition to a new system and to try to get a May bill out that would catch us up through April, that many people wanted to get caught up on, we're integrating data from the two systems together. And that's the reason the format of the May bill looks different. The information is personalized from each person's account, and we can show you that. We can show your last bill that you got, and you'll see readings and, you know, information that's on that bill will be on, you know, what you're getting in the mail. And then when you get your next bill, the reads will be consecutive. If you go back and look at your prior bills, you know, your reads that your bills were based on should always be consecutive. If not, then that's a problem. And I know we've talked about some date issues, but if you look at the readings that are on your bill, those are consecutive. And so the from and to determines your consumption quantity. And so as you look at consecutive bills, those reads should always be line up. And if they don't, bring that in, then that's a problem that we would work through to fix. And so we will try to continue that, because that's the integrity of the system, is the consecutive reads for all meters. And so with switching meters, then you're getting a new meter that starts at 0. And so that's a reset point, and then your consumption will, you know, be based on those intervals. And with the AMI system, we'll be able to standardize the reads to the same day of the month for everybody, which we weren't able to do with the old system, because manual meter reading would take us could take us 2 weeks, you know, to read everybody's meters. Well, we couldn't get that all done on the same day, so people's read dates were different. This new system, it will standardize that.
Thank you, Rick.
The way I, looking at mine, I was trying to figure mine out. I think you start out with all 8s, and then the next number is the total of what you have used, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
On how your numbers flash out there,
Yeah.
you got a whole set of 8s, and the next figure, the way I figured it out, is my total figure that I have used.
These means on the cycles, or the cycle
The
of
cycles,
the meter
how
itself.
the cycles.
Flashes
Okay.
several
So
times.
that way you can
Okay.
kind of look and see what you are reading.
Sure.
From the date it was installed, I think, I checked today and I've used 2,900, say 80 something. So you can kind of get an idea of what your bill's gonna be.
Sure.
And another question, I don't suppose we've got any results back on the test on the meter we sent off on the water meter.
We don't have those results back yet. We're still waiting on that.
That's all I have.
Were you also going to address the auditing service that was on the agenda under your report as well?
Yes, I'd sent a follow-up email, thanks, Mayor. We had requested statements of qualifications for auditing services, and we had a few inquiries. Besides advertising in the local newspaper, we also pushed it out to folks that solicit these kinds of opportunities to bid through the Missouri Municipal League. And we had one that actually submitted a response, and that was our current auditor. I emailed you her response, as well as a tentative agreement letter. It's not on the agenda for approval of that tonight, but if you're agreeable, if you want changes, we can take that back to her, or if you're okay, we can bring back a resolution in the next meeting for approval. We do need the sooner we can get on the schedule, the better. And it's not to say, even if we went with her for another year, we would not be precluded from going out, next year if you ever were of a mind to. This doesn't lock us in for, an extended period.
Would it be possible, I didn't get a chance, I seen the email, but I didn't get a chance to look at it. Would it be possible to, over the next couple of weeks, all of us look at that and then email Ray or Mary or James if we have any concerns, and then go ahead and put it on the agenda for next meeting?
That'd be fine.
Okay, is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Todd?
On this billing thing, is this a one-time thing, or is this gonna be an ongoing problem?
We believe one time, Todd. We just gotta get through this transition, and then it'd be regular monthly bills like we used to. But it'd be for the previous month. That time, that lag will be compressed. So your June bill will be for May consumption.
once we get the read file, that should be the fix to this. The issue is, we've been having to try to put a fire out ourselves when we're not the fire department, basically. We're trying to come up with a solution, because right now, the software company that is the only one who can really actually has a solution to this hasn't been able to give us the solution. I know everybody's extremely frustrated. I can tell you with 100% certainty that everybody up here is extremely frustrated. It's been one roadblock after another, and so many things have been out of our hands. That's not an excuse. That is the reality of it. One thing I want to say, it's not that the city's handled this perfectly. I think communication, and I think I've said this multiple times, it could have been better to try to explain everything that's happening. But the problem is, with that, it's extremely complicated. Even having it explained to me multiple times, it's still hard for me to completely comprehend everything, because it's just such a extensive process that's had so many roadblocks. It seemed like every turn we take. But what we have been told is, once we get that read file, then that should be the solution to everything, and it should be smooth sailing from there. So
I'd like to add a comment too, is that the Encode software that we use to run the city's finances also runs this billing cycle every time we send out a bill. The Encode software we have is a specific setup for just the city compared to some of the other installations that they've done there. Others are more generalized, in my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ray. We had a one-off, let's say, and we're dealing with the repercussions from that. So, unfortunately, that makes it very difficult when the one supplier of a software thinks you've got something else, and you now are stuck with two systems that don't want to talk. So.
And it wasn't that we went into this blindly unprepared. It was, we were told that it would work. So this isn't because the city failed to look into things. We trusted the experts who told us that it would work. None of us sitting up here are software engineers or anything like that. We made the most informed decision that anybody possibly could. And it's unfortunate that it's turned into such a mess as it has. But we're doing our best to put the fire out. And we appreciate the people who've been extremely patient, beyond patient, and who continue to treat the staff with kindness and respect when they call. And I would ask that if you do have questions, contact your officials, contact the people at the office. If your first stop is Facebook to get answers, it's not going to be where you find correct ones. So that is what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is food vendors and ice cream trucks in the city park. Melissa, come forward, please.
I want to come forward. I'll stay where I'm at. Good evening, Mayor and Aldermen. I am asking that you guys consider putting an ordinance in place that prevents food trucks and ice cream trucks from coming into our parks, because it's hurting our concession sales.
Have we dealt with this before?
No, it's not
Very
in the code.
clearly remembered.
I reviewed the code today. There's nothing in there that specifically calls this out.
I kind of reached out to Missouri Park and Rec Association. It's a very common ordinance that many cities do have passed for this exact reason. So I spoke with Mary, and we decided to try to bring it to you guys to have you guys help us put this in place. Just for example, our very first day opening, we have a 3 o'clock all out, so we can make sure that the water is the appropriate chemical consistency, but also it'll help boost our sales. Well, during that 3 o'clock time, the ice cream truck came around, and almost every person in the pool went to the ice cream truck, which is great. I think it's a great service to the community. There are lots of other roads and neighborhoods that they could patrol, not the one that I'm bringing to my own business, because I treat it as a business. We have to create revenue where I'm at. We struggle, especially with the sales tax and stuff, with COVID, it's hitting us. So I am trying to create revenue wherever I can, and when somebody else comes on wheels and takes it out from under me, it hurts. Not that I don't like them or anything, my kids have bought stuff from them, just not when I'm operating.
Can
That's
we
why I prefer-
legally do that, Mr. Weber?
So, I'm sorry.
If they've got a business license, can we?
I think you've got the power to regulate businesses and where they can go. I've been researching through it a little bit this evening while we've been sitting here. It's still kind of a gray area, but I think under the state statute, 79-390, it gives the Board of Aldermen the power to regulate the public parks.
And it's not that they're not gonna be welcome. If we have events, there are some events where we call for these people to come and do business. But when we're doing business and selling some of the same products that they're selling, it's hurting our budget, and then it hurts what I can provide to the residents. I mean, not only that, but it interferes with jobs that I give kids.
Well, before I give an answer, I'd like to, see the attorney tell us we can legally do this.
It's a property, I wouldn't.
Well, and on short notice with, I think that you've got the power to regulate the public parks. You have the power to regulate the vendors and business people within the community. So if you're to pass the regulation, I would just note that it's more for a regulation of the park necessarily instead of community business interests.
Right. Thank you guys for your consideration.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Weber, can you look into that further for us, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is under introduction and reading of bills. Ms. Apple, could you please introduce resolution 12-2020?
Resolution number 12-2020, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Salem, Missouri and NB West Contracting Company for Nova Chip of city streets. Whereas the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri desires to pave as many streets with type A Nova Chip as the budget allows. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute and sign on behalf of the city of Salem, Missouri an agreement between the city of Salem, Missouri and NB West Contracting Company for installing approximately 40,000 square yards of type A Nova Chip on various streets for the bid price of $7.50 per square yard, guaranteed through August 2020, then no more than a 10% increase is described in attachment A. This resolution will be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval passed by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri, and approved by the mayor this first day of June 2020.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion on resolution 12-2020?
Make a motion, we approve resolution 12-2020.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I made this statement last time, but I want to make sure we restate this, is that if Mark's team or someone in the street department can quantify this and track the actual application so we know that we get 40,000 square yards.
There will weight tickets come with each one of the trucks when they leave the place where they're mixing it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's put on the truck, they will weigh the truck before it's put on, they'll weigh the truck after it's put on, so that you know how much weight that you have on the truck. When they get to the site to where they're gonna hook onto the machine to dump it, they give that ticket to a person, and that's their job, is to make sure every truck that pulls up for it has that weight ticket. If it doesn't have that weight ticket, it can't unload. So, and these weight, and that's independent from the company, because it's gonna be different truckers. You know, it's not just, it's contracted truckers that's gonna be doing it.
Right.
So they're getting paid by what they distribute.
So we will have a proof of record that.
Yes.
Then we can be assured we're getting what we paid for,
Yes.
no doubt.
Yes. I will be there. I won't get to be there all the time because of other what else I have to do, but through the day, I will go by and I will ask to see those tickets and keep a running figure of how much they spread a day. Is that okay?
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Steelman?
Yes.
Alderman James?
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Happel, resolution 13-2020, please.
Resolution number 13-2020, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Salem, Missouri and the Dent County Commons for the leasing of the commons for the 2020 4th of July fireworks display. Whereas the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri desire to celebrate the 4th of July with the 4th of July fireworks display. Whereas the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri agreed to pay $1,500 maintenance fee to the Dent County Commons for the use of the property owned by the Dent County Commons. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of the city of Salem, Missouri an agreement between the city of Salem, Missouri and the Dent County Commons Association for the leasing of the Dent County Commons for the annual 4th of July display as described in attachment A. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval, passed by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri, and approved by the mayor this first day of June 2020.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion on resolution 13-2020?
Make a motion to approve 13-2020.
Do we have a second?
I'll say,
Second, any discussion?
James, have you had a chance to review the contract?
I have.
You should have known.
I would like to know that too, that was my question.
It's in the contract, it's in the
I was, that
City
was,
should know.
I know, and I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't understand
The
where.
money is really a use fee because everything else is covered by us, even down to janitorial supplies.
And we feel we have nowhere else we can house the fireworks.
Not because of parking issues. Also, I believe it was 2 years ago, the state fire marshal's office redone the regulations as far as distances and everything from the fireworks that you have to be. And in town, we really don't have any place that I am aware of that would meet that criteria.
I think if I remember right, it had a lot to do with the insurance purposes why we let them provide it,
Do you know where that
have
distance
an
is?
adequate place.
I can get it to you, I don't have it off the top of my head. And that's, I believe, when we done the, Mary was at the sesquicentennial, I believe, we actually did do fireworks in the park at that point, but we had to get special permission to set them off in the Gotts field behind the park. And I'm not sure with the new distances if that will even qualify at this point.
What would be great is if the county chipped in. I just have a yearly obligation, I feel, to say that, so, but it doesn't happen.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman James?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter?
Yes.
Alderman Steelman?
Yes.
Ms. Happel, bill number 3450, please.
Bill number 3450, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Salem, Missouri, Chapter 610, Peddlers and Solicitors, Section 610.010, definitions, Section 610.040, fees, and adding Section 610.170, regulations for mobile food trucks, push carts, and ice cream trucks. Whereas an ordinance has been developed to define and regulate mobile food trucks, push carts, and ice cream trucks. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Salem, Missouri as follows. Section 1, establishing definitions for mobile food trucks, mobile food trailers, push carts, and ice cream trucks to read as follows. Section 610.010, definitions. For the purposes of this section, 610.10, the following description shall be included. Mobile food truck, a licensed vehicle capable of being driven that contains equipment permanently affixed to the vehicle frame to store and produce fresh food and drinks to sell and dispense to the general public. Mobile food trailer, a self-contained licensed unit that attaches to and is pulled by a separate vehicle that stores and prepares fresh food and drink to be sold to the general public. Push carts, a manually propelled mobile food trailer. Ice cream truck, a licensed commercial vehicle that serves as a mobile retail outlet for ice cream, typically at roadside. Section 2, all operators of mobile food trucks, mobile food trailers, push carts, and ice cream trucks shall apply for and obtain business license from the City of Salem, Missouri as defined in Section 605-.080. License required for the amount established in Section 605.090. Section 3, a new section of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Salem, Missouri to be codified as Section 610.1070, operating regulations for mobile food trucks, mobile food trailers, push carts, and ice cream trucks. A, licensee who operates a mobile food truck, mobile food trailer, push cart, or ice cream truck may not go into a city park or remain idle in order to sell, offer for sale, or display a food item unless the licensee's activity has received proper written authorization from the park director or city administrator. Section 2, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval, passed by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Salem, Missouri, and approved by the mayor this first day of June 2020. Would you like the second reading in full or by caption only,
Caption
Mayor?
only, please.
Bill number 3450, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinance of the City of Salem, Missouri, Chapter 610, Peddlers and Solicitors, Section 610.010, definitions, Section 610.040, fees, and adding Section 610.170, regulations for mobile food trucks, mobile food trailers, push carts, and ice cream trucks.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on bill number 3450?
Make a motion, we approve bill number 3450.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
What will be the consequence to this if it's not abided? Do we know that? Yeah. What is, do we know what is the general consequence?
There's not a general consequence, like each ordinance violation falls within certain parameters, and then there's a range that we can operate under. There's not a specific fine set for specific ordinance. Some ordinance violations fall within a section where there's a limit of a fine of a maximum of $225. Others fall within a limit where there's a maximum of 90 days in jail or up to a $300 fine. And then others fall within a maximum of 90 to 500. I don't see in this where there's anything that quantifies what this would be.
Any other discussion?
I have a question on paragraph A of 610.170. To me, I think that would be better suited to state into a city. So second line, may go into a city property or remain idle or in order to sell, offer for sale, or display a food item unless the licensee's activities receive proper written authorization from the city administrator or has been invited to participate in a city-sponsored activity. I think singling out the park is probably not the right approach.
Are you saying too, you don't want the park director to be able to
That's correct.
authorize it?
I even did that out
Okay.
too. I also have another concern about decibel ratings and hearing protection. The current ice cream truck that is around town, I got to experience it for several minutes and in close proximity last Friday. And the generator on the back of it is extremely loud, more than 85 decibels, which is a hearing protection requirement in any industrial facility. And there's generators out there that will run much quieter than that. So I just have concern for that piece of it. I did some research. The city, St. Louis County has regulations in place for decibel ratings of that nature, and I just thinking of children being by an ice cream truck is kind of, get something that's louder than your average mower. So
I've never experienced a hearing one that's that bad, huh?
it's loud. So it's almost like it's missing a muffler.
Are we able to maybe make these changes and bring it back at the next meeting, or?
Could we approve it and then, or could we approve it and then have it amended, have an amendment next meeting? Just so she's not waiting 2 weeks and the actual truck is there every day. That'd be my thought.
What would you recommend?
I think that you get the authority to regulate the park and the traffic through. I think case law bears that out. So really it would be up to the board as to what direction they want to go, if they want to wait to make something more specific. But I was looking at a case just now that basically lays out that the regulation of control of the city park is a discretionary power of the city. And states it's a matter of purely local concern. The case I'm looking at deals with liquor sales within a park in conflict with the state statute. But I think that it sheds light on this issue as well. So I think you have the power to regulate the park.
So you're saying without this ordinance, or we would have to enact an ordinance?
I think if you want to prevent something from coming in the park, you have to enact an ordinance because you have to give notice before there can be any action. Now, as far as what the actual penalty for violating that would be, it would probably fall under just a general nuisance type violation. But as far as preventing him from coming in the park, you have to give him notice before you can take any action.
But we could go ahead and approve this tonight and then bring an amendment back at the next meeting
And what will that amendment be?
to address the issues that Alderman James had.
The noise,
Not allowing on any city property? And the decibel?
Decibel is a larger issue, but just the idea that equipment's in satisfactory running order and not creating a nuisance. But maybe one way to phrase it.
But dealing with the noise issue is probably better left to a separate statute than the other statute. That's probably more of a general issue.
An authorization of the city administrator on that.
Right. And then, so in reference to the county, St. Louis County that I referenced earlier, if something is running for more than 60 minutes in a residential area, it has to be 55 decibels or less, which is very quiet, which is not what I was expecting. But something with a commercial land use, which you could say that vehicle is a commercial vehicle, and something around 65 decibels is acceptable. But it's something just to think about. If anyone's interested in that topic.
so are we saying we can approve this as long as they keep the decimal noise?
That'll be a separate issue. We can approve this and then we can bring.
Okay. You lost me there for a minute.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Alderman Steelman?
Yes.
Alderman Hinderleiter?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Yeah.
Alderman James?
No.
Pardon me, Alderman James?
No.
At this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, rise and go forth. Thank you all very much for coming this evening.